sia con tutti voi.
Translation, peace be with you all. First words we heard from the new Pope, forever known as Pope Leo XIV.
Many thought we would never see an American pope, and that assumption thrown out today clearly when we learned Cardinal Robert Prevost secured the two-thirds majority needed to succeed Pope Francis as the head of the Catholic Church.
In his first message to the world today, he told the faithful to build bridges and help each other. He said God's love extends to everyone and has no limits and conditions. Also adds that evil will not prevail. He also praised the leadership of the late Pope Francis.
Before today's announcement, many doubted Robert Prevost would overcome the Vatican's reluctance in electing an American. Many church leaders feel the U.S. already has enough global power. Pope Francis appointed Prevost to oversee bishop nominations in 2023. He helped Francis with his reform to include women in the voting process for bishops. Prevost is originally from Chicago and studied in St. Louis. The 69-year-old has spent the majority of his ministry in Peru and has citizenship in the country. Prevost is the seventh pope from the Order of St. Augustine, which emphasizes harmony and community.
And as we watched the proceedings, we spotted South Omaha native Cardinal Blaise Cupich on the balcony as the Cardinals came out to support Pope Leo XIV. He's in the front row on the far left. Cupich is the first cardinal from Omaha to participate in the conclave. He currently serves as the Archbishop of Chicago.
Gosh, what an amazing view, I'm sure.
Absolutely.
Omaha's new Archbishop, Michael McGovern, is also from Chicago, and he says he's honored to share a hometown with the new leader of the Catholic Church.
Yeah, McGovern was installed as Omaha Archbishop just yesterday. The Archbishop says the new Pope's experience with different cultures, ranging from the U.S. to Peru, will help him connect to people all over the world. He says it is a great moment for the community.
I think it just gives you a sense of a pride and confidence, you know, that this is someone who knows what the life of a person in Chicago would be like, and there would be many points of contact and connection.
He added the Archdiocese of Omaha will have a special Mass to celebrate the election of the new Holy Father. They are working to finalize the time.